Some horror movies scare you for a few minutes. Others get into your head, follow you home, and stay there for years. Admittedly, I started watching horror movies when I was way too young. Sometimes it was because I wanted to keep up with my older siblings. Sometimes curiosity got the better of me. And sometimes I genuinely believed I was ready for something that I was absolutely not ready for. But those experiences also helped create my lifelong fascination with the horror genre. Somewhere along the way, being terrified started to feel like riding a roller coaster. I stopped resisting the fear and started enjoying the ride. I'm Matthew from Five Films, and this is Five Frights, a series devoted to movies that frighten us, disturb us, and keep pulling us back for more. And these are 5 horror movies I was entirely too young to see.
Coming soon. Jolting tales of horror.
I saw Creepshow in the theater when I was 8 years old, with my dad and my older siblings. In my family, being one of the big kids was kind of a big deal. And I was tired of being left out of big kid stuff. My dad warned me very seriously that this movie was going to be scary. I assured him, to the best of my 8-year-old ability, that I could totally handle it. I could not totally handle it. The movie came right out of the gate with the Father's Day story. And the second that hand came out of the grave, I completely lost it. Something about the lighting, the music, and the image was just overwhelmingly frightening to 8-year-old me. Later in the film, when those drowned, waterlogged zombies appeared with their swollen blue faces, that was it. I ended up spending a significant portion of the movie sitting on my dad's lap with my face turned away from the screen. So yes, I was absolutely too young to see Creepshow, but I had demanded to be treated like a big kid. And that night, I discovered that big kid privileges sometimes come with big kid consequences.
The kids of Elm Street don't know it yet, but something is coming to get them.
There's something out there, isn't there?
I saw A Nightmare on Elm Street when I was 10. I was alone in my house and found a VHS recording that we had made from cable. I'd faked being sick so I could stay home from school that day, which means everything that happened next was entirely my fault. I already knew this movie was supposed to be terrifying, but apparently that only made 10-year-old me more curious. And almost immediately, Tina appearing in that bloody body bag in the school hallway scared me half to death. I kept watching it until the bathtub scene. That was where I tapped out. And honestly, stopping halfway through may have made it worse, because now I didn't just have a terrifying movie in my imagination. I had an unfinished terrifying movie. There were all these loose ends that I still had to come back to and resolve later. Now, I eventually finished it, but the movie had already accomplished its mission. Freddy had gotten into my head on a school day that I was trying to avoid.
Did you hear that? I heard that. What was it? Could be a lot of things. Yeah? A coyote. There aren't any coyotes in England.
I saw American Werewolf in London when I was about 10, shortly after Michael Jackson's Thriller had become this enormous cultural phenomenon. Now, to be fair, I was also frightened by Thriller, but I was also completely fascinated by it. I saw this documentary on how it was made, and that introduced me to director John Landis and makeup effects artist Rick Baker. When I learned that they had also made An American Werewolf in London, I had to see it. The transformation scene in this film absolutely blew my mind. It was painful, grotesque, technically astonishing, and unlike anything I'd ever seen before. But strangely, the transformation wasn't what scared me most. It was David's nightmare sequences, especially that sequence involving the monstrous soldiers invading his home, followed by a fake awakening where he thinks the nightmare is over, only to discover that he's still inside it. That dream within a dream dismantled my sense of safety. But this movie also represents something important for me. By this point, horror wasn't just frightening me. It was beginning to fascinate me. I was starting to become curious about how filmmakers could use sound, editing, makeup, and imagery to create such a powerful physical reaction. It scared the crap out of me, but it also helped create my lifelong love of the horror genre. By the time I was 13, I was regularly seeking out horror movies. A friend of mine also loved them too. We had both reached the conclusion that The Texas Chainsaw Massacre was one of those movies every serious horror fan was required to see. So we watched it, and I was not ready. What's remarkable about the original film is that it's not especially graphic, particularly compared with modern horror. There's far less visible gore than its reputation suggests. What makes it so disturbing is the rawness of it. The film feels sweaty, dirty, chaotic, and frighteningly plausible. The moment that changed me was Leatherface's first appearance. There's no dramatic music announcing him. He simply steps into view, hits Kirk with the hammer, drags him into the back room, and slams that metal door shut. I was stunned. Does The Texas Chainsaw Massacre have a sophisticated plot? Not really. Is this movie populated by deeply developed characters you become emotionally interested in? Not so much. But it does have something far more primal. It completely subverts your expectations of what a movie is supposed to feel like. It doesn't guide you through the experience or reassure you that everything is under control. It just grabs you and drags you into that back room. When it ended, I felt like I'd been run over by a car. At 13 years old, I'd never seen anything that felt so brutal, immediate, and completely unhinged.
They only come out at night. They're mean, rude, and dead. Not them. Them.
There's 100 of those things out there.
How many did you say?
100?
The dead are refusing to remain buried.
What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? We're gonna call the boss.
They've come back to life. They're hungry. And they're not vegetarians.
Okay, so I saw Return of the Living Dead in the movie theater with my dad when I was around 12. By then, something had changed. Horror movies were still frightening, but I was starting to understand how to enjoy that fear. I'd seen horror movies with comedic elements before, but this was probably my first true over-the-top horror comedy, and I loved every minute of it. There were, however, at least two very good reasons I was way too young to be watching this film. First, the gore is extreme. Although, it's exactly the kind of exaggerated, outrageous gore that a 12-year-old boy finds completely awesome. Second, the character Trash spends a considerable portion of the movie without clothing. I distinctly remember my dad attempting to cover my eyes during those scenes, which was probably an indication that perhaps we had not selected the most age-appropriate father-son activity. But The Return of the Living Dead instantly became a classic in my family growing up. We quoted it constantly, and we still quote it whenever we get together. So, while Return of the Living Dead may have been wildly inappropriate for me at 12, it played an incredibly important role in my love of the horror genre. So, looking back, I was clearly too young for every single movie on this list, but I also can't pretend I wish I'd never seen them. These movies scared me, shocked me, fascinated me, and eventually taught me how much fun horror can be. They helped me turn fear into curiosity, then that curiosity into appreciation, and finally, that appreciation into a lifelong love of this genre. So, now I want to hear from you. What horror movies did you see when you were way too young? And what scenes stayed with you afterwards? Let me know below in the comments. And make sure to subscribe to 5 Films for more episodes of 5 Frights. And I'll see you next time.